much. First of all, I would like to thank Sri Lankan Sub Aqua Club to give an opportunity to deliver this presentation on the role of shark days and brief summary of our work on this project. So, yeah. So when we talk about the shark and rays, the first question is, are they fishes or different animal group? So generally we know that all the fishes mostly have scaly body and both sides have gill opening or called operculum for their breathing, and they are fully skeleton calcified bone. But through this picture, you can see they have a very different body structure from the general fishes, but they are also fishes. But they are very unique because of some of their characters. So they full body made with the cartilaginous. It's flexible bone tissue. So this one present in human as well. So you can feel that touching nose bone and the ear bone. So they are very flexible with the body. And also most of the joint have this cartilaginous tissue. And second main different character from the fishes, they have 5 to 7 gill openings for the shark side of the head and for the rays ventral side of the body. And most of the sharks and rays have 5 pair of gill opening or gill slit. And some other species, they have 6 or 7 gill openings. So this, when it comes to the sharks diversity, they have nearly 400 million years of evolution history, and they are older than dinosaurs' evolution history. So because of their successful tolerance behavior, they are still alive in the earth. Until now, over 500 species were documented in worldwide, and for the race, over 550 species were identified in the worldwide. This species diversity was increasing every year through the new findings by all over the world. The marine ecosystem not only giving fish resource for us, this is giving more than fish for human and also for the earth. So this marine aquatic phytoplankton and the marine aquatic plants producing major part of the oxygen for the earth. And also additionally, it's supporting for the tourism industry and also some minerals and other industries as well. So majority of the shark and ray species landed for all over the world as a accidental catch or edible bycatch product. But in Sri Lanka also, some species or some, certain group of fishes are targeting by shark and rays are targeting by fishes for specific consumable. Example, the pelagic shark, large sharks are targeting for the shark fin trade, and deep sea shark targeting for shark liver oil production, and stingrays for the skin for the leather production, and also they are very popular in Sri Lanka for the dry and fresh meat consumption. Compared to other fishes, these shark and rays are very extremely vulnerable for overfishing because they are very late sexual maturation and only giving few pups for one reproductive cycle, and on very less natural predators and slow growth rate. So compared to other bony fishes, because the most of the bony fish is giving few thousand to millions of eggs in a one reproduction cycle, and some species have more than one cycle per year. But when it comes to shark and rays, they're giving one to few pups, like some are like differently 30, 50 like, but most of the fishes giving very few pups, and also giving one reproductive cycle per year. So when talk about conservation of any animals, we need to tell what is the important roles in the ecosystem, and also what is the important for the human. So these shark and rays are top predatory carnivore organism in the marine ecosystem, and they maintaining the food web in equilibrium, and indirectly they helping to earth carbon cycle, and also helping for the minimize global warming, and also they supporting for the primary productive. So to better understand what role in the food web, so I took one food chain here. So this is, you can see one beautiful coral ecosystem, and this coral ecosystem, the good habit for the many species, fish species, and from that some algae attach on it. So the algae is the food for the Atlantic blue tang, and the black grouper eating Atlantic blue tang as a food, and the gray reef shark eating black grouper. So when we remove the shark from the ecosystem, then automatically increase the grouper population. So if grouper population increase, then they need more food for them, and they catching more Atlantic blue tang for their food. So then certain year, then the blue Atlantic blue tang population will reduce. So in certain time period, the full Atlantic blue tang is gone. Then there is no food for grouper, and they move to another prey item, and then there is no control factors for algae, and they fully growing on the coral reef ecosystem. And then if the coral fully covered with the algae, there are no habitat for the coral habitat fishes. So the same as that all fishing, all food chain is interlinked with the sharks or top level predators in the marine ecosystem. So if we affect the ecosystem through remove the shark from the marine ecosystem, then reduce the other fish population also. Then we're going to lose the fish from the ocean, and also we're losing the income from the marine ecosystem, like diving or snorkeling and some other tourism dependent industry. So if no fish and no additional industries in the marine ecosystem, then who depend on this ecosystem, they're going to lose their income and also the food supply. Then we can move on to the shark and the ray fishery and why they are harvested in worldwide and also in Sri Lanka. So the majority of the shark catching, they're targeting for the fin, and this fin they mainly used for the dish called shark fin soup, and this is very popular in China and some other East Asian countries. Also, this shark meat very popular in Sri Lanka as a fresh meat in northern part, and the east they eating more fresh, and the other part of the country majority of the shark going for the dry fish production. And other than that, the small scale level ornamental shark fishing also happening, and they are very demanded in the global market. And some certain genus of the fishes, it's called a Centrophorus, and some squalid species, very for the liver oil production. And this industry is very one of the major industry in Sri Lanka also. So this is happening in the east, west, and the southern coast of Sri Lanka. So these Centrophorus fishes are living in a very deep trenches, and the fishermen using long line method to catch these fishes from the trench area. And because of this habit, fishes have high lipid deposition in their liver, and as through the fishes, they're saying like nearly 80 to 90% of the liver having the fat. So they extracting the liver from the fish, and they putting on the metal tray and keeping on the sun. And because of sunlight, it's melting. And then they are harvesting the shark liver oil. And this is one of the popular ingredient for most of the cosmetic items and also pharmaceuticals items. And when it comes to for the ray fishery in Sri Lanka, they are very popular for the fresh and the dry meat. And Obelid species, they targeting for the gill plates, which are very popular in as the same as gill plates, shark fins in China. These gill plates also, they taking as a medicinal value added product. So they believing these have some medicinal value, and they consuming in the traditional way. Other than these gill plates and the meat, now the ray skin harvesting also popular in some part of Sri Lanka, and they are exported for the leather production. And the same as sharks, rays also the small scale level ornamental industry also there. So in Sri Lanka also they catching live shark and rays, and they are exporting to the global. So when we talk about the conservation, we have to get a base idea on species or organism. So for that, we started this study around Sri Lanka to establish the basic detail or basic knowledge on these organisms. So for the basic thing, we have to know about the diversity of the species around Sri Lanka and their catch composition and all any seasonal variation or anything, and their harvesting method from the ecosystem. So before on to our specific project, I want to give a brief briefing of our organization. So we are situated in the East Coast as a main field station, and also this year we started another field station in the north as well. And our main funder is Tokyo Cement Group. So in our organization, we are running a major group of project. One is seagrass project. This project mapping the seagrass ecosystem around Sri Lanka and identify the species. And the coral reef conservation and the monitoring project, long-term monitoring in the East Coast, Kaingani and the Pasikuda reef habitat, and also opportunistically doing some snorkeling and the diving around Sri Lanka and doing mapping. And finally, they are monitoring the coral reef fisheries who are depend on the coral ecosystem for their livelihood. And the last one is Elasmobranch Fishery Project. So this project mainly two subdivision. So one is document all the shark and ray species diversity and their catch composition all around Sri Lanka, and also additional focus on mobility rays. So this is the small our team who involving in the project in the local level. So we can move on to Sri Lankan Shark and Ray Fishery Project. So we can talk, so I'm going to talk about what we are doing. So in this project, we are mainly covering all around Sri Lanka and long-term and long-term monitoring in the east coast of Walachene, and in the north Jaffna and Point Petro, and the west coast Chilau. So we are documenting all the Elasmobranch species and taking all the needed photograph of the specimen to identify minimal level. So we are try to identify up to species level. And also we recording all possible measurements and the weight of all the possible landed Elasmobranches, and also recording sex of the specimen and the maturity. And also additionally, we are collecting tissue sample. So the tissue sample, mostly we are collecting muscles or even the fin, piece of fins. So this is, can help to confirm the species. And also now, because of the technology development, we can do the isotope analysis to identify their feeding behavior and their migration through this analysis. Up to date, we recorded more than 20,000 Elasmobranches, and from that we recorded 52 shark species and 48 ray species. Here you can see some of the out of these 100 species, so the 11 species, according to the IUCN, that data deficient species, and 27 for vulnerable, and 18 endangered, and 11 species are critically endangered. These vulnerable, endangered, and critical endangered species are we call threatened categories, which are in the critical situation in the ecosystem. So because of this critical position, we have to serve them in the ecosystem for the sustainable fishery and the sustainable fishery industry. So how we can serve? One is what we are doing, the research work. So that is can support to serve them in the wild. So the research not only in the local level, because the local level knowledge not enough to develop the conservation concept for a species. So we work on the global level and collaborate with a lot of foreign researchers also to develop our conservation method. So we are working with a lot of popular scientists from the world, and also who doing their PhD or their masters in their university. So we are helping for them, and also we are learning from them for our conservation. And also we are supporting for the education. So we are supporting for the undergraduate from the Ocean University and other university. And also we are teaching school level students, because they are the next generation of the conservationists, and also maybe some are going to be a fisherman. So those people are very important role in the in the future. So we are teaching them. And additionally, we are doing policy, because just teaching and research work not only help for the conservation, because the law and the power is needed to implement any conservation action in the field. So organization also supporting for the policy making in the global and the regional level. And also we are doing some awareness program in the society level to changing the public perception to move the sustainable fishing method. So finally, I want to tell some of our outputs. So up to now, we supported 8 students to complete their undergraduate studies with Blue Resources Trust, and also our director Daniel Ferrando, one of the author for the latest Manta and Devil Race guidebook published by Manta Trust. And also we published in 2019 first systematic study paper regarding elasmobranchs around Sri Lanka. Finally, thank you for listening. And if there are any questions, welcome.